Blast me to Calmer's skull. It's time for the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. Issues 69 and 70, Part 1, Lore, Build and Paint Guides. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. So we're about to start a very special double bill because we have issues 69 and 70, which are parts 1 and 2 of the very awesome Marneus Calgar and the Victrix Honour Guard. So we'll go through the sprues a bit in a minute. And like I said, we got 2 issues to cover. So there's quite a lot of information inside these issues. But before we get started, don't forget to, of course, give this video a little like. And don't forget, of course, to subscribe if you don't already do so, because it's the only way you get to know about my mad content. So, again, I haven't got much of a question to ask. But what are you going to be doing with your Calgar? Are you collecting Ultramarines just specifically so you can use the characters like me? Or are you going to be converting them? If so, I'd like to see that. So drop me a comment down below what you're going to be doing with your models and share it on the Imperium fan page on Facebook so we can all see what you're going to be doing with your Calgars. So without further ado, let's get into the magazines and models. So first off, we'll have our quick coverage. So 3 models with bases in this issue, so parts 1 of 2. So we learn about Calgar and the Victrix Guard, and we also learn about the origins there of the Space Marines. So this is going back to the Horus Heresy, and we have a fold out about the rise of the Primarch. And in issue 70, so we get 2 new collect articles. So we've got our battle records for Calgar and his Honour Guard. We got a really in-depth comprehensive paint guide there. That's a really good paint guide. I might even be using it myself, depending on how I feel like painting my Calgar. And we also have a brand new mission which will allow us to put Calgar through his paces on the battlefield. Right, first off, let's take a look at those miniatures and then we'll go through the issue. So here we have our frames of models, and they are pretty chock-a-block frames. So with 69, we got this frame, which was... no, we didn't. We got this frame, which was pretty much all Calgar, minus his head and his fingers, which are all on here, plus the ammo feed for his gauntlet. And in issue 70, we got this frame here, which is the frame for the Victrix Guard. So you can take multiple Victrix Guard units if you want in your armies. So if you want to pick up an extra issue of 70, do so. I might be doing the same. I might be doing that myself, actually. Just so I got some bodyguards for all over the battlefield and all my characters. But really nicely detailed models. Calgar himself is resplendent in Ultramarine iconography. Plenty of laurels, aquillas, even his backpack vents are aquila heads, which is very cool because that's a hark back to the original Calgar model. He had his aquila head backpack. So yeah, he's just been Primarisified, but he's really much the same as he always used to be. So a model I've always wanted to paint was Calgar. Back in the day, I loved the Terminator armor version of him. The metal model when it came out. Never got around to getting it though. So this is going to be my first ever Calgar, other than the double Power Fist Blood Angel Captain I did back in 5th edition. But yeah, got some nice scenic details. So we've got a piece of rubble here with some spent bolter casings, and we've got a dead Tyranid head, because who doesn't love dead animal bits? This, though, is going to go towards my Blood Angel army, which I'm working on to battle a friend of mine. So I'm going to probably put a dead Necron that I got spare from my Command Edition box on the base, just to help fit in with the army and the magazine collection. So also we get a 50mm base for Calgar and two 40mm base for the Victrix Honour Guard. And the Victrix Honour Guard are pretty much mirror copies of each other. One has a sword in the right hand, one has a sword in the left hand, and they have their shields in the opposite hands. One has his right foot forward, one has his left foot forward. So yeah, pretty much mirror opposites of each other. I swear that's pretty much how they did it, although the tassels here are a little bit different, so... Loads of detail there. You're not going to miss too much by gluing them all together in one piece, because the backpack and the cloak back and the cape are all one piece. So you can't really do much about here. So very easy models to paint, fully assembled. You're not going to miss out on too much detail. I might pay to leave the shield arms loose, just so you can reach in behind here and here a lot easier. But that's all personal preference, really. I'm going to probably build these up because there has been... I've seen a few people painting these guys, and there's been a lot of complaints about the seams and joins, so I'm going to try and make sure all these joints are properly melded together with some plastic glue and some sprue glue as well, if need be. But really looking forward to building and painting these guys. Can't wait. I've got a lot of Ultramarine stuff to do. I've got 5 Assault Intercessors to add to one of my squads. And I've also got a new Librarian to replace my old one, because me and stripping back paint off models don't get on very well at the moment. Still, I need to really practice that a bit more. But I thought it'd be easier and cheaper, more time conscious to just buy a brand new Phobos Librarian, and that's what I've done. So there we have our model. Now let's start going through our magazines, starting with issue 69. So here we have issue 69, and this is part 1, of course, of the Victrix Guard issue. So, like I said, we got a lot to cover, and here's most of it in this particular issue. So we learn about Marneus Calgar, ancient origins of the Space Marines, part 3 of our vehicles, a brand new section of our magazine collection, the Rogue Trader logbook. And we have a fold-out, which is all about the 3rd installment of the Gathering Storm, the Rise of the Primarch. We also have, in this issue, Marneus Calgar and his Victrix Guards build guide. We have Warlord Traits for our Space Marine faction, and we also have a brand new mission called The Heart of the Tomb. It's a big battle, 75 power, but it's only on 2 game mats. So that's going to be pretty fun and pretty cramped as well. So, starting things off, we've got Marneus Calgar, so Chapter Master of the Ultramarines. The Ultramarines chapter has produced many great heroes. Even amongst such august company, Marneus Calgar stands tall, for few figures have won so many crucial victories for the Imperium. So, most notably, of course, Calgar led the defence of his home planet of Macragge against High Fleet Behemoth. He also battled High Fleet Kraken at Ikar 4, and has also battled against the Orcs and Eldari, and even traitor Space Marines. In a battle against Abaddon the Despoiler, he was laid low. His death was good because it boosted morale, but his return was even greater because he returned across the Rubicon Primaris and became a Primaris Space Marine, lifting again the gauntlets of Ultramar, his signature war gear, which were originally crafted for the Primarch Rabute Gilliman, but has been handed down to him. He's clad in the armour of Heraclus, which is his ornate armour. It's been updated with Primaris technology, but it's pretty much the same as his old-fashioned armour. So yeah, pretty good character. So he's a peerless strategist. No Space Marine has a better understanding of battlefield tactica than Calgar does. save for perhaps Commander Dante, as he has lived longer. Honour Guard are elite veterans of any chapter. They are assigned to the most important officers within a chapter. The Victrix Honour Guard are an elite group exclusive just to the Ultramarines and are Primaris exclusive. So, moving on, we got backgrounds on the Space Marines. So this is the ancient origins of the Space Marines. The Space Marines have battled the Emperor's enemies for more than 10,000 years. The first of their number were formed into legions, each many thousands strong. Though these legions no longer exist, their genetic legacy continues into the 41st millennium. So, back in the 31st millennium, the Emperor came into being, and he started a little pet project where he created genetically enhanced super soldiers. These prototype ones were known as the Thunder Warriors, and these would eventually be refined into the Legiones Astartes. He then created the Primarchs to lead these legions, but before he finished the project, the Primarchs were snatched by the gods of chaos and scattered across the galaxy. But in the awakening of the Great Crusade, the Emperor reclaimed his lost sons, and the legions were rejoined by their Primarchs. So there were 20 legions. So the first founding saw the creation of 20 legions. The legacy of the Loyalist legions remains in the form of the first founding chapters and their successors. The Lunar Wolves, renamed the Sons of Horus by their treacherous Primarch, became the Black Legion under Abaddon's leadership. The remaining traitor legions still plague the Imperium. So we have the First Legion, the Dark Angels. The Second Legion are an unknown legion, as their history has been blocked out, and it is rumoured that either the 11th or the Second Legion were destroyed by the other, and then that legion was then destroyed by the Space Wolves. But a lot of the Primarchs had their memories locked by the Emperor's psychic powers. Third Legion is the Emperor's children, who are now dedicated to Slaanesh. Fourth is the Iron Warriors, who haven't much changed, but they do still worship chaos. Fifth Legion is the White Scars. Of course, as we know, masters of hit-and-run tactics and bike assaults. Sixth Legion are the Space Wolves, the masters of Fenris. Seventh Legion, my primogenitor, the Imperial Fists. Eighth Legion, the Night Lords, who are terror tactics, and again, traitors, dedicated to the chaos as a whole. Ninth Legion, the Blood Angels, again, one of my favourite chapters. 10th Legions, the Iron Hands, Sons of Ferrus Manus, and Masters of Armoured Warfare. Again, the 11th Legion, we don't know who they are. There's much speculation about these two particular legions. I do like some of the fan lore that one of them are known at were the Ursa Claws or Bear Claws chapter, and that one of their lost Primarch will eventually return at the head of a Forgotten Legion. Moving on, then we got the 12th Legion, the World Eaters. The Ultramarines are the 13th Legion, and there's a rumour, one of my favourite rumours for the Horus Heresy was that the remaining Space Marines from the 11th and the 12th Legion were given to the Ultramarines because 11 plus 2 is 13. Which is why the Ultramarines are one of the largest of the legions at the date of the Horus Heresy. And Horus went to great lengths to make sure the Ultramarines were unable to attend the Siege of Terror until very late. The 14th Legion were the Death Guard, now dedicated to Nurgle and their demonic Primarch Mortarion. Of course, World Eaters dedicated to Khorne and the Blood God. And their demonic Primarch Angron is set to return soon in a narrative campaign. 15th Legion, the Thousand Sons, dedicated to Tzeentch, were once great sorcerers, are now just suits of walking dust. Led by the demonic Primarch Magnus the Red. Of course, Lunar Wolves, the 16th Legion, known now as the Black Legion under the command of Abaddon. I watched a nice, interesting video the other night about the fact that Abaddon might actually be a clone of Horus, which is why he's such a good commander and why the rest of the Sons of Horus easily fall under his command. He was very like Horus in the days when they both fought wars in the Emperor's name. Moving on to the 17th Legion then, we've got the Word Bearers dedicated to Chaos as a whole. It was the Primarch Lorgar who originally started the Cult of the Emperor. He was chastised for it. His homeworld of Monarchia was destroyed by the Emperor and the Ultramarines chapter. He was forced to watch as his pride and joy, the city was levelled by orbital bombardment. 18th, we've got the Salamanders, Sons of Vulcan, Hastan, Masters of Flame and Melter. 19, we've got the Raven Guard, who are Masters of Stealth and Shadow Warfare. And finally, the mirror to the Raven Guard, we've got the Alpha Legion, the 20th Legion. Again, they're pretty much subterfuge and stealth, but we're not too sure if they are traitor or whether they are still working on the side of the Emperor. So there we have a little bit of background about the first founding chapters and legions. Moving on then, we got Space Marine Tracked Vehicles Part 3. So this focuses on the battle tanks. So we got Predators, which are battle tanks using the Rhino chassis. They have a turret-mounted weapon, either a autocannon or twinning laser ray. Then the Predator Destructor is often amplified by the use of heavy bolter sponsons, and the Predator Annihilator's las cannons are backed up with some las cannon sponsons. Barrel Predators are a unique Predator pattern to the Blood Angels and their successors. These sport assault cannons and heavy bolters, or heavy flamers and inferno cannon. I'm still waiting for one of those to arrive from my Blood Angel force because it's on the same order as a made-to-order box set that I ordered back along. So, can't wait to get that. Other battle tanks include the Vindicator, which is a siege tank, has the Demolisher Cannon as its primary weapon, and a giant dozer blade for clearing through any the rubble of enemy fortifications. And then we have a trio of weapon platforms. Most of these are anti-air, but the Whirlwind itself can be equipped to deal with anti-horde or even anti-armor. The Stalker is, again, a anti-aircraft gun with rapid amounts of shots of its 2 tri-barrels there. And the Hunter is a heavy aircraft destructor with its missile turrets there. Moving on to Space Marine Vehicles Part 4, we've got the transports. So there's only really 2 transports to talk about. One, of course, is the ubiquitous Rhino. So many versions of the Rhino standard template construct exist, allowing the Forge Worlds of the Adeptus Mechanicus to construct a wide range of vehicles for the Adeptus Astartes, each outfitted with a different form of combat, from artillery support to anti-tank warfare. So the Rhinos used by pretty much every chapter. Here's one used by the Grey Knights. A modification of the Rhino is to create the Razorback, which gives it a small mounted turret with twin weapons on the rear. It sacrifices transport capacity, but you get a little bit of an heavy armoured vehicle there. So this one apparently says it's a Black Templar's Razorback, but those actually look more like Iron Hands because they have the white gun casings. But either way, we have a Razorback here with the twin assault cannon. And we have a White Scars Razorback here with a tactical squad in tow and a twin link las on top. So the larger tanked transports are, of course, the Land Raiders. So these are a battle tank and transport rolled into one. So they have quite a big transport as they are mainly used to carry Terminator squads. So the basic Land Raider has the twin heavy bolters at the front and then twin las cannons on the sides. We have the Land Raider Crusader, originally founded by the Black Templars, with the Hurricane bolter sponsons and a twin assault cannon, plus the frag storm launchers at the front there. And then the Redeemer class, which was originally, I believe, crafted by the Salamanders, has flamestorm cannons on the sides, replacing the Hurricane bolters, and the twin assault cannon there as well. The final transport to mention isn't really a tank, but it is one of the most iconic Space Marine transports of all, and this is the Humble Drop Pod. Drop pods were designed to aid orbital strikes. They are fairly simplistic creations that are launched from orbiting vessels to plummet through the atmosphere and slam into the battlefield, where their hatches blow open to release Space Marines within. Only the transhuman physiology of a Space Marine can withstand such a violent descent. So, any Space Marine player worth his weight in gold has at least 1 or 10 of these to do an entire battle company dedicated to a lightning assault. I can't really say I'm worth my weight in gold, as I currently don't have any, but I am planning on picking up some for my Blood Angels. Right, moving on, we got a brand new piece of background lore here to add to our collection, and this is called the Rogue Trader Logbook. So this focuses on Captain Sonara von Hart, who is a rogue trader. She's recently come into the business at the death of her father. And this is a Inquisitor's report on her dealings. So we've got details here about the ship she does her business out of. So this is known as the Void Mistress. It is located at the Delphi shipyards. Has a maximum crew capacity of 30,500. And was constructed in the date of 343 M32. So we've got a little bit of detail here about obtaining the trade warrant, and here's the Von Hart family's warrant of trade, stamped and signed by 4 of the High Lords of Terror. And here we have a little bit of information about some of the crew. So Velda Karen is the first officer, second in command to Von Hart herself. She was once a Cadian trooper, but injured in battle in the Vigilar system. She has since dedicated herself to being second in command of the Void Mistress, and is currently in her 10th year of service. We have Lorvan Quintus, who's a technical officer. He's partly human, well, mostly human anyway. Has been upgraded his systems to better help to care for the ship. He's been in the service of the ship and the family for 31 years. Most recent addition to the crew is Remo Dowell, again another Cadian veteran. He owes his regiment's survival to Von Hart, and so his elite troopers are now serving as a personal sort of army for the Rogue Trader herself. So he's only been in the service of 3 years, originally from Cadia, and he's human. And finally, we got Ape, who's the ship's cook. He's a Dracario, who's like a technical space monkey. Often they're pretty good at mechanical, but this guy has a particular keen sense of cooking. So yeah, he's tolerated because he's a rather tame tame Xenos race. But yeah, pretty cool. And finally, we got some other rogue traders. So we got Janus Drake, who was, of course, famous for pillaging a Blackstone fortress. And we have Lucianne Vane and her Star Striders, who entered a Plague Hulk and fought off against the forces of Nurgle. And finally, we got some do's and don'ts on being a rogue trader. I reckon there'll be more to this. It seems like there's going to be more. So quite interested to see how they expand this. It's quite a nice little addition. Moving on then, we got our build guide for the issue. So it's a pretty, not very in-depth, but really focused build guide. So it's got some nice hints and tips here, keeping your heads separate, glue tacking them to pots of spare paints that you aren't going to be using. So you have choice of bear or helmeted head for Calgar. So it's up to you which ones you use. And the Victrix Guard are both helmeted only. So we're building Calgar first here. His torso and legs, back of him. Adding a lot of the smaller details, so his loincloth, his hip guards, and his little Aquila. Leaving the head separate for the moment if you want, but you can glue them in if you really fancy a challenge, a painting. Building his fists, attaching his shoulder pads. And I'm going to be leaving the backpack off just so I can get in and reach all the detail. Because it's only going to be a nice little contact area there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build up the backpack as it shows here, leaving it separate, gluing the ammo feeds to the drums on the back of the cape, or back of the backpack, and then we can easily glue them on afterwards. I'll glue the ammo expelled, get my words right, the expelled shells in before I start painting. And then we glue him down to his 50mm base, and like I said, I'm going to put a dead neck on just to help tie him into the collection. And our Victrix Guard are pretty much both the same. You glue the shin plate in place, glue the cape to the back, glue the storm shield on, power sword on, backpack and head. And there we have a finished gallery. Could have really done a bit bigger. Instead of leaving, I know it's some nice artwork here, but instead of leaving it a bit open, you could have made it a little bit larger, perhaps. So, right, anyway, before we get on to issue 70, here we have our Warlord Traits for our Space Marines. This will be our final piece of coverage. So, we got 4 Warlord Traits, 5 Warlord Traits even, 2 specifically for the Vanguard, and 3 here for generic Space Marines. So we've got the Imperium Sword, which allows you to reroll charge rolls, and each time you fight, you add 1 to your strength and attacks. Iron Resolve, so +1 wound, and whenever you lose a wound or a d6 on a 6, you ignore it. And Storm of Fire, you can choose a core unit within 6 inches. Each time that model makes an attack, unmodified to 6, improves the armor by 1. So yeah, there are a couple of tutorials here on how to use them. Oof, can I close it up? No, I can't. Right, so we've just got this to cover. So this is the Gathering Storm Part 3, the Rise of the Primarch. So united by a common hatred of chaos and a desire to see Abaddon destroyed, the survivors of Cadia's fall, now including amongst their number Yvraine and Ynnari, made haste to Ultramar, where they would stand witness to a miraculous resurrection that would shake the galaxy to its very core. So this is the third and final installment of the Gathering Storm, the ending of 7th edition into 8th edition, I believe it was. So Ultramar is, of course, the heart and soul of the Ultima Segmentum. It's faced many challenges throughout the centuries. Most recently, it's being a golden light in the southern half of the Imperium. And most of the forces that have battled at the Fall of Cadia have retreated to here, thanks to Yvraine and her webways. So... It's thanks to Yvraine and Belisarius' call that Roboute Guilliman, originally in stasis on Macragge, was woken, and he took up arms and started fighting the forces of chaos that started to appear on Macragge. So this is long before Primaris Marines started appearing on the scene, but he would be one of the first of a new breed of soldiers for the Imperium. That's really cool. It's a chaos-tainted Grey Knight halberd. Nice. Yeah. So, the Triumvirate of the Primarch was the third box set in the series, which featured Roboute Guilliman himself, Aldrich Voldus, which is a Grey Knight Grandmaster of the Third Brotherhood, and Cipher, the Fallen Angel, who... well, he's a very mysterious figure. I think we're going to be seeing some more action from him in the upcoming narrative as well. But a lot of people believe he's a traitor, as are all Fallen Angels, but personally I believe he's going to be doing something important to help redeem himself and the other Fallen and restore the galaxy to its balance. Other notable characters, we've got Varo Tigurius, Chief Librarian of the Ultramarines, Marneus Calgar, of course, Chapter Master, and it is I, Cat O. Sicarius, Captain of the Second Company. He's now Captain of the Victrix Guard, and we're not too sure if he has crossed the Rubicon yet or not, but he's been promoted from Second Company up to personal bodyguard of Calgar and Guilliman. So, notable agents of chaos that fought during the rise of the Primarch was Magnus the Red. He was encountered on Luna, the moon of Terra, where his Zinch forces were assailing the Somnus Citadel. Guilliman arrived there, pretty much battered him over the head with his sword. Kairos Fateweaver was also a prominent force from the forces of Zinch there. But yeah. In the end, Guilliman came to Terra, met with his father, came out with the sword of the Emperor in hand, and declared the Indomitus Crusade. Whew! That's only just one issue. Luckily, there's not too much in 70 to cover. It's mostly dedicated to the paint guide. So let's crack on with issue 70. Deep breath in and out. So in this we have 2 battle records, one for Calgar and one for his Victrix Guard. We have 1 page of background, which is all about Warlord Drago and Castellan Crowe of the Grey Knights. We paint Calgar, we get his rules, and we have a surgical assault, which is another big mission. So, Marneus Calgar, the Chapter Master. Chapter Master of the Ultramarines, Marneus Calgar's deeds upon the battlefield are the stuff of legend. His Primarch, Roboute Guilliman, has witnessed firsthand the bravery, strategic brilliance, and skill at arms of his Gene son, and bestowed upon him even more responsibility. So he's got an optical replacement here for his eye. You've got the Gauntlets of Ultramar, ancient weapons originally born by Roboute Guilliman himself, and bestowed upon the chapter at his entombment in stasis. Armour of Heracles, a specially modified suit of Mark X Graphis armour. The armour of Heracles is amongst the finest example of Primaris technology in the entire Imperium. It provides robust protection without impeding the wearer's movements, if in any way. So yeah, pretty cool. We don't have anything to fill out here because we know who he is, we know what he's done. The only thing we can do is the war gear achievements that we make in these battles with him. So moving on, then we've got the Victrix Bodyguard, the elite veteran bodyguards of the chapter. So they each have an Ultima Storm Shield, ornate Aquila helms, and a power sword. And these guys are just in standard Mark X armour. So we do get to name them. So we got Pontus Severus, the Guardian Blade, and Darius Numenos, Calgar's Wall. So Pontus's weapons are called Hera's Grace and Scipion Defender, while Darius's sword is known as Gladius Mortis, and his shield is Pax Ultima. So, and we've got a little tick chart here for each time we destroy before Calgar falls, which is pretty cool. Honor before death, etc. Or honor in death, I suppose. And then we've got our battle record as usual down there. Moving on then, we've got background information for some new Spaceman characters, and these are a couple of the Grey Knights. So we got Caldor Drago, Supreme Grandmaster of the Grey Knights. The tale of Caldor Drago spans many centuries. His fortitude, strength of will, and gift for leadership in the face of warp-spawned terrors has seen him rise to lead the Grey Knights as their Supreme Grandmaster. So, he originally came to his title at the Battle of Aquilem, where he fought the Demon Prince Mkar and cast his legions back into the warp. 2 centuries later, Mkar returned, and this time facing off against him and the Demon Primate Mortarion, Cowgirl Caldor would not get away so easily. So Mkar would curse Caldor Drago to travel the hellish plains of the warp for the rest of his life, as long as the demons were never allowed to enter the material realm. So he does occasionally pop up when Mkar's forces are breaching the Immaterium and assailing the Imperial worlds. So the Chapter Council is comprised of the Supreme Grandmaster and the Grandmasters of the 8 Brotherhoods. Together these commanders deliberate upon matters of concern to the chapter. Each Grandmaster has equal voice upon the council. And one of my favourite Grey Knight characters is Garen Crowe, bearer of the Black Blade of Antwer. Even amongst the strong-willed and resilient Grey Knights, Castellan Crowe is considered to be a flawless soul, so resistant to the temptations of chaos as to be all but immune to them. It is well that this is so, for he bears a burden greater than any other, the Black Blade of Antwer. So the Grey Knights first encountered the Black Blade during the latter years of the 37th millennium, unearthed in the ancient ruins of a rogue tech priest known as the Blind King. This demonic weapon swiftly corrupted its discoverer's mind and body. In the aftermath of the war, the Grey Knights took the blade and locked it away, though its powers still proved a bit too potent to be just kept locked away. It was gifted to the Purifier Order, and their Grandmaster, or in this case Brotherhood Champion, Garen Crowe, would become the wielder of the sword. At first, the sword was not much powerful, but in recent years its demonic taint has been unlocked as Garen's will fights for control. So it always used to be a pretty cool weapon, but on the tabletop it never amounted to much more than just a power sword, really. But now it's a lot better. It gives extra strength, extra AP. It's a really nasty little weapon. So the Order of Purifiers are an order within the Grey Knights that may be considered an additional, if small, brotherhood. This order is comprised of brothers who are an anathema to Warpspawn. Tainted creatures wither at their touch. The Purifiers rarely number more than 40 and are led by a brother who holds the rank of Castellan Champion. Garen Crowe currently holds this position. So yeah, he's the most up-to-date Grey Knight model we've had in a while. He's actually really good scale-wise, what a Space Marine should be, and hopefully Games Workshop will do the same for the rest of the Grey Knight range at some point. Right. I've blabbered on long enough, so let's wrap this up with a quick flick through our paint guide. So we're going to start priming the model with Macragge Blue, picking out all the black details with Abaddon Black, brown details with Mournfang Brown, any parchments and capes with Rackar Flesh, picking out all our gold details with Retributor Armour, Mephiston Red for the outer capes and the eyes, Corn Red for the tassels, Lead Belcher for all our silver details, and then Corax White for all our white details. Finally, Schooner Pink and Mechanica Standard Grey using on Purity Seals and the Crux Terminatus there. Then we're going to be applying Nuln Oil all over the power armour and all our metal and brown details, as well as the Corn Red and the Grey. Then we'll be using Avrax Earthshade to go over the bone and the cape. Rikon Flesh Shade on our gold, relayer with Macragge Blue before edge highlighting with Cowgirl Blue on the armour. Mechanica Standard Grey and Dawnstone is used to highlight all our black details. Dawnstone itself is just used to highlight the Mechanica Standard Grey Crux Terminatus. Balor Brown is used to highlight our levers. Rackar Flesh relayered on the inside folds of the cape and Purity Seals. Powdered Witch Flesh is used as an edge highlight. Stormhost Silver is used on all the gold and silver details. We relay Mephiston Red on the prominent folds of the capes, and then highlight with Evil Sun Scarlet. Finally, Wild Rider Red is used to dot the eyes, and White Scar is used to highlight the white details, and Pink Horror to pick out the details on the Purity Seal. If you are building your Calgar with the Tyrannid head, here's a nice little tutorial on how to paint a pretty easy High Fleet Leviathan paint scheme. Like I said, I'm going to be putting a Necron down. And then we've got a dedicated paint guide to head options. So head option 1 is his helmeted head. And a little bit more in-depth detail for his bear head. And then we even have a bonus tutorial on how to paint yellow power cables with hazard stripes. So that's a pretty nice technique. So painting it white, then yellow, painting the black lines, washing a Rikon Flesh Shade, and a highlight of Powdered Witch Flesh. And then we do the same on the cable on his head. And there we have three beautifully painted models. So we base it the same as we've done the rest of the collection. So Astral Granite, Nuln Oil, and Dawnstone Dry Brush. Then we attach his head once all our painting is done, and we're happy. So we'll save the rules, I think, for another video, as we have the rules and the mission to cover. And that will be it for this issue and this video. Whew, I've pretty much exhausted myself. That's too long. But there we have it. I'm off to build this guy and then get him painted. But before that, I'm going to have to say a good thank you to everybody for watching this video. I know it's been a bit of a long one, but we are going to be getting quite a few double bill issues coming up soon. The one after this is a double bill of Necrons. So at least I've only got to do a few videos for the next delivery. And I might be able to catch up and be up to date. So I should be getting my next delivery end of this week, if not start of next week. So I'll let you know once that does arrive. Where was I? Thanking you for watching. So yes, thank you all for watching again. Of course, if you think I deserve it, please give this video a like. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel, as you will be among the first to discover my wonderful mad content. So that's it for this video, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.